In today's world, we're given everything we want almost instantly. So naturally, everyone wants the quickest recipes possible, but great food sometimes takes time. But even if the recipe is fast, I see a lot of people complaining. So we're ending that today. That's why today I'm giving you 53 ingredient recipes that you can make easily at home. There is a caveat. I'm not counting running water. If you don't have running water, you shouldn't be watching a YouTube video. Now, why am I not counting salt? Two reasons. All of these recipes will work without using salt. They just won't taste as good. And if you do have salt, which you most likely do, you can just add what you already have. And before we start, all of these recipes are fully written on my website. The link will be in the description. Now, let's do this, shall we? Ice cream, sweetened condensed milk, along with some vanilla bean paste. Whisk that together until combined, and then just hold this in the freezer while we make our whipped cream. Cream goes in to your stand mixer. That's cold, heavy cream. Let it rip. I know I'm using a stand mixer here, okay? Before you complain, let me just say, you can either do this with electric hand beater or a good old-fashioned whisk. Now, once that's whisked, it should have nice soft peaks. Sweet condensed milk, we got our whipped cream. You're gonna add a little bit of that and fold it in. I'd also suggest adding a tiny little pinch of salt. Finally, the rest of your whipped cream. So you're gonna need a loaf pan, and you're gonna carefully pour essentially what is your ice cream batter directly in there. You don't even have to churn it, just put it in the freezer and enjoy. Once it's frozen, you just do what you do. Scoop it, enjoy it. Arguably the greatest Rice Krispie treats of all time. Salted butter in. You're gonna go on medium heat. So we're going to brown this butter deeply. Once the butter is fully melted, keep it at medium heat and let it just kind of cook and toast the milk solids in this, stirring every so often with a little spatula to keep them from burning. See how it's starting to turn a little brown? It's starting to foam a little bit. That's good, but I want it farther than that. I want it almost burnt. That should smell nutty. It should smell rich. So that's perfect. So you're gonna fold in a lot of marshmallow, like a lot. Stir that in. We got it on medium-low heat and just keep stirring. Once that's fully melted and there are no solids remaining behind, add your Rice Krispies and just gently fold it in. That's a beautiful thing right there. Just dump your Rice Krispie into your prepared 9x13 pan. Spread that out and just kind of pat it down like this. We want this to be tight in the pan. Let that sit until it reaches room temperature and then you can slice it. You can cut this however you want. You want little rectangles? Cool. You want to do big boys? Great. Good God. Beautiful. Mac and cheese, large pot. I'm gonna add half and half. Set that over medium high, just a little bit of water, a little splash, just a tiny bit of salt to taste. Once that's boiling, you're gonna add your mac directly to that. Here's the trick we're using here. We're boiling the pasta in what will be the sauce. You can see a lot of the liquid is gone. Turn the heat off. You're gonna add in your cheese. Please, please use fresh grated. Stir until you hear the symphony. Don't forget to taste and add salt as needed. Just make it a beautiful time in a bowl. That has got to be the easiest mac and cheese I've ever made. Teriyaki chicken. This one's a little difficult. Chicken thighs that have been deboned with the skin left on. Why is the skin left on, Josh? Well, we need oil. Take off the skins, to put this in a nonstick pan over medium-low and just let it release its oil into the pan. We're gonna take our chicken thighs, lay them in, sear 2 to 3 minutes per side. Don't worry about cooking it all the way through. I just want color, which should look something like that. Now that looks good. Place it onto a cutting board. Now I do this because I want it to release some of its juices in the pan. So now you're gonna cut it, yes, raw, into cubes. Place back in the pan. You're gonna add soy sauce and honey. Gently stir together. Now bring that up to a boil over medium high, then reduce the medium and let that reduce until it becomes syrupy and glazed. After reducing for like 15 or so minutes, you should be left with a glossy sauce that coats and sticks to your chicken. You can serve this with rice if you wish. You can also serve it just straight up. You can put some avocado on it. For visuals, you can always add a little bit of sesame seed, whatever you want, to make it look extra nice. 3 ingredient pancakes. Bananas go in. We're gonna blend that with the whole eggs until smooth as possible. All sweets need a little bit of salt. There's no added sugar. It's just the sweetness from the banana. So the more ripe the banana, the more sweet the batter. Now we're gonna add our flour directly in, lid back on, and this time we're gonna rip it on low just until mixed into a batter. Maybe a little faster. Now once your batter's done, you're gonna do mounds onto a griddle or non-stick pan. Now while these cook, that brings me to today's sponsor, Made In Cookware. Made In offers a large variety of high quality cookware, including this carbon steel griddle we're using right here. I love this thing, I use it all the time. With my restaurant background, I'm insanely picky about the cookware that I use, and there's a reason why I love Made In. Their carbon steel griddle combines the heat retention of cast iron with the control and maneuverability of stainless clad. So if seasoned properly, it's essentially a non-stick alternative. One of my favorite things about this is it's also open fire compatible. They have little legs for it to go literally directly over a fire. We can also use it on gas, electric, and induction stoves. Oh, and don't forget to flip when browned and cook for another couple of minutes. I've been using Made in Cookware for years, even before I was a partner with them. And I'm happy to have this griddle in my arsenal. I actually have one at home too. I have two. I have 4. So don't forget to check out their cookware in the link in the description to save on your order. Now, all that being said, if you don't have a griddle available yet, you can just use a nonstick pan, but you'll have less cooking service, I'll tell you that. Look at all this. Now, once you're done, you can just serve this straight up, but obviously syrup, butter, all those things are optional. Or don't, because guess what? They're delicious on their own and they're 3 ingredients. Banana bread, bananas, eggs, and the secret ingredient, a really high quality yellow cake mix. Bananas in. So you're just gonna let this rip on high speed until as smooth as possible with the bananas. From here, you're gonna add your 2 eggs, beat those in. Finally, on low speed, you're gonna add your yellow cake mixture, half of it. Once that starts to incorporate, add the other half, and very easily, you have a delectable, perfect banana bread batter. See, the benefit of using the yellow cake mix, it has all the leaveners, the salt, the sugar, everything you need in one. So our batter's done. Get a little loaf pan, line it with some parchment paper, spread that out evenly, edge to edge, and pop it into an oven at 350 Fahrenheit for 40 to 50 minutes. Okay, so you're gonna pull it out. Let that cool for about 5 minutes in here, and then after it's cooled, take it off this and place it on a wire rack to cool the rest of the way. You ever afraid that a banana bread you made might deflate? Try cooling it on its side. You're welcome. I should also clarify, you're gonna have to flip this halfway through the cooling. Otherwise, one side will be bigger than the other. Does this make sense? This is fully cooled. You slice it and you enjoy it. That is banana bread. Mozzarella sticks. So your spring roll wrapper will go onto a work surface. Mozzarella stick goes around the lower third and begin to roll nice and tight. Once you get to the corners of your spring roll wrapper, you're then going to bring them in and then continue rolling. It's basically like a burrito. Now, once you get up to the top corner, you're gonna take a little dab of water and dab the edges so that it seals like that. Then just rinse and repeat with the rest. Drop these bad boys in, heated to 350 Fahrenheit. Once they are fried to a light golden, pull them out, pop them onto a wire rack to drain. Look at these little guys, dude. Ow. Let them cool. Oh, oopsie. This is like a new type of mozzarella stick in a way. Mashed potatoes, cooked Yukon Gold potatoes. They have been boiled in salted water. Before I drain them, I'm gonna add unsalted butter and half and half. Anyway, you're gonna heat this over medium heat until the butter is melted and it is hot. While that's going, we're gonna come over here with our boiled potatoes, and I'm just gonna drain them real quick. You don't even need another bowl. Place these into a potato ricer. You can also just use a hand masher, that's fine. Rice those bad boys. Hot cream and butter going in, whisk together, season things with salt. You have a beautiful silky mashed potato. Date bites. You're gonna split one of these bad boys open and squeeze the tasty meat goo out. You're gonna get one of your dates. These are pitted and split on one side, so they open up just like that. And you take a little bit of your longanisa meat and just stuff it. Now, once they're stuffed, you're gonna take a piece of bacon, which has been sliced in half. You're gonna carefully wrap that around your date. Secure with a toothpick. Get your air fryer, which has been preheated to 325 Fahrenheit. Pop that bad boy open, got a little foil in the bottom, and then just load it up. Close it and let it rip for 15 to 20 minutes. 20 minutes later, you got little date bites. Tomato soup, medium saucepan, and I'm gonna add unsalted butter. Heat that over medium heat, and once it is melted, you're gonna have 1 small yellow onion sliced. Get some salt in there to help that sweat. Let that cook down. All right, once these are softened, about 3 to 4 minutes, you're gonna add a 28-ounce can of whole peeled San Marzano tomatoes. And you're just gonna lightly crush those and add them in. Followed by all the liquid. Stir that in, add about a cup of water, and then bring that up to a boil over medium-high heat. Now let that simmer for 10 to 15 minutes. I want the onions so soft, they basically fall apart when you look at them. You could just serve it just straight like this for the record, but if you want it extra smooth, immersion blender in there and blend it until as smooth as physically possible. Check for salt. It will probably need some or more. From there, you're gonna add a nice tablespoon or 2 of unsalted butter and blend that in. It's looking beautiful, luxurious, a beautiful bright orange. You can literally just serve it straight like that. I'm gonna add a little bit more butter on top, melted, just spooned over the top. This tastes like there's many more than 3 ingredients in here. This might be one of my favorite recipes on the whole list. Spicy chili crisp butter. Butter. This is completely softened. Now we're just gonna help get this beat up. Now we're going to add a lot of raw garlic, grated fresh, just the solids from a spicy chili crisp. Add that to your butter and then just beat that together. Make sure this is thoroughly incorporated, okay? Put this on a steak, put it in mashed potatoes, put it over hot rice, put it on a vegetable, put it in your, take this little fella, refrigerate, and it's usable for just about anything. Crusty bread. We have bread flour. Add fine sea salt into the flour. Just mix that by hand. And then separately, I have lukewarm water over here. We'll keep it around 90 to 100. Instant yeast goes in and then whisked in. I'm gonna make a small divot in the flour, a little yeasty water. Mix by hand, and you're gonna form kind of a claw shape. Just gonna mix till all the flour is absorbed. Form a little one of these. And you're gonna go under the dough, scoop it up, and slap it back down, and just rinse and repeat. See? not weird at all. Just do that for a couple seconds. You have a shaggy dough, and that's actually the majority of the work you're gonna have to do. Cover it tightly. This is going to sit at room temperature for 8 hours. So you could do this right before you go to bed, wake up, and then make your bread. We've preheated this in an oven at 500 Fahrenheit. Really hot. Got a little flour on the bottom so it doesn't stick. Lay that little guy in there. So pop that back into the oven and let that bake for about 20 to 25 minutes. That's gonna get it to bloom, then we'll take the lid off. Then you're gonna lower the temperature to 425 and let it bake for another 15 to 20 minutes. A little bit of extra deep browning. Look at this. 3 ingredients. And you don't even need to make your own sourdough starter. Listen. Oh. Someone's home. Nutella pretzel milkshake, vanilla ice cream, Nutella, and pretzels. Into a blender, vanilla ice cream, 1 long fat pretzel, a nice helping of Nutella. Let that rip low, let it find its way, and then speed it up a little bit. Now just pour your milkshake into a nice glass. It should be velvety, it should be beautiful. If you were using the giant pretzel, you're gonna take that and you're gonna dip it into your Nutella and just kind of scoop out a glob. But we're not gonna expose it. Don't do that. You're gonna get a nice velvety glob, and that's gonna go in the shake at the bottom for a little surprise. And you have a Nutella pretzel milkshake. The humble bean and cheese burrito. This is a savior of a dish. You ever go to a Mexican restaurant, they give you way more refried beans, or really any type of bean, than you need, right? You take that home and you keep it in the fridge. And when hunger strikes, all you need is 3 ingredients: cheese, your leftover beans, and a big tortilla. First, heat up your tortilla. I'm gonna do that directly over an open flame just to get it pliable. I would also recommend maybe wearing heat-proof gloves. Tortilla goes down, your leftover beans in the lower third. And then this is the key to a great bean and cheese burrito, and that is a lot of cheese. Grated Monterey Jack cheese. So we're gonna roll that up, boom. Get yourself a pan, heat it over medium heat. This seam needs to go down first, okay? We're sealing this, and just zen out, relax. You don't even need anything in the pan. A good tortilla should have enough oil in it to toast itself. That'll take about 2 to 3 minutes, and you're gonna carefully flip it over. Now you see how it's sealed. You're gonna repeat that on the other side. You may have to keep flipping, you may have to do other sides, but keep doing that about 2 minutes per side until the cheese is fully melted. You got a cheesy bean burrito. It is a glorious, cheesy, delectable bite. One of my favorite cheap, easy 3 ingredient dishes. Spicy avocado toast. Slice the avocado in half, twist it. Oh my God, there's still people that are fully grown that do not know how to do this. Quarter and then just peel. Keep your cuts even. Toasted bread, you will toast this in a toaster. Sliced avocado goes on. Get yourself a little bit of spicy chili crisp. So you're gonna put the crispy solids all on top, and then a little bit of that oil drizzled. And that is a spicy avocado toast. Peanut butter cinnamon toast crunch bites. Peanut butter. We're gonna start heating that over medium low. Then I'm gonna add a whole lot of honey. This is wildflower honey. Let it heat throughout. It should liquefy and combine. It should run a little bit. Cut off the heat, and you're gonna add your cinnamon toast crunch. Carefully fold that together. Try not to crush it up too much. We have a prepared loaf pan that goes directly in there. And then just press that out. Press as hard as you can without crushing it. Spread it out and let that cool completely. Pull that bad boy out, flip it around, pull this off. I'm gonna slice these into bars. That's beautiful. Jalapeno poppers. So you're gonna take each jalapeno, cut their tops off, and cut in half. You're gonna scrape out the inside of each of your jalapenos, leave a little cavity. Once you've done that, you're gonna take some of your Boursin cheese, shape it into kind of a log, and stuff inside each cavity. Take a little piece of bacon and wrap around the center. And then from the top down, stab right in the center. Then just repeat with the rest of them. Pop that into an oven, I get it, at 450 Fahrenheit for 20 to 25 minutes. You have roasty toasty jalapenos, fettuccine al burro. You're gonna need cooked fettuccine to al dente in salted pasta water. And you're gonna scoop your pasta. It's okay, get the pasta water in there, I like it. Salted butter, add that in our pan, and we're gonna toss. Let it emulsify. A little bit more butter as that's melting. We're gonna add our Parmigiano Reggiano, grated finely. Toss, toss, toss. Cut off the heat. Look at that. Creamy, luxurious, beautiful. Season and taste with salt and add more butter and cheese as needed. From here, you can add additional Parmigiano Reggiano, black pepper if you wish, but this served just as it is simple and delicious. Biscuits, how could you possibly have them for only 3 ingredients? The secret is self-rising flour. Cubed cold butter goes directly in, and you just press and twist to help kind of break it up into little floury chunks. You don't want to do this too much. You want sort of randomized chunks of butter. You're gonna stir in some heavy cream using a fork. Very important. I'm gonna dump this out while it's still shaggy. I'm just gonna kind of knead this bad boy together. Don't over knead. You don't want to melt the butter with your hands. Roll that out to a rough rectangle. I'm gonna fold it over itself once, like a letter. Roll again. Cut out as many rounds of that as you can using a biscuit cutter. Now your remaining dough you can bring back together, roll it back out, and you get more biscuits. Isn't that nice? Put them in a cast iron pan, yeah, into the oven. And then they should come out of the oven beautifully. Look at the flakes on this. Look at the layers. That's a flaky little Larry boy. Brownie cookies. Powdered sugar goes into a large bowl and also all over your hand. That's good. Cocoa powder in, mix those together with an electric beater. Once that's incorporated, then you just add in your egg whites. Also salt. Salt is important for the dessert, but you can omit the salt and it will still work. You can use a spoon, you can use a cookie scoop to layer 8 dollops, evenly spaced apart. And we're gonna bake it at 325 Fahrenheit. You got the ooey gooey fudgy inside, the crispy exterior. I would have no idea that's gluten-free, that's crazy. And only 3 ingredients. Kettle corn, oil into hot pot, swirl it around, add in your kernels, swirl those around nicely, touch salt and sugar. Lid goes on, high heat, and you're gonna shake the pan constantly. Do not stop. You will hear noises, that's good. We've already begun. Ah! Once the popping has subsided, I'm gonna open this bad boy up. It's still, oh my God, watch out, Vikram. Get a nice simple kettle corn right there. Potato chips, peel your russet potatoes. Here I have a bowl of water at about 1.5% salt brine. So you're gonna slice your potatoes with a mandolin directly into your brine. I'm just going to give these a little light massage. I'm not squeezing them, I'm just making sure that every little surface has been touched by the salty water. Let them sit about 10-15 minutes. These chips have been removed from the water and patted dry. So I have a large cast iron pan filled a little over halfway with vegetable oil. It's been heated to 350 Fahrenheit on the dot. What do you think we do next? We're gonna fry, brother. You can see that these are essentially not really bubbling anymore, and they're kind of starting to brown. That means they are crisp. So drain those a little bit, toss in a wire rack over a baking sheet, season immediately, generously, kosher salt, and keep frying. You can serve this however you want. Nice little stack, shippy boys. Look at this, dude. Tuna salad, canned tuna. Remember, keep it nice and high quality, please. Into a bowl. Just gonna mash this as finely as possible. Shred it fine enough prior to adding the other ingredients. We've got finely diced gherkins, pickles, whatever you got, add that in, along with, and this is a little vague, a white mayo-based dressing. I don't know that I would say ranch, garlicky, creamy, dilly, something in that vibe. Stir together, season and taste with salt if needed, and you have a nice held together tuna salad. This is gyudon inspired. We have 1 thick boy ribeye. Trim off the fat cap, finely chop it. Beef fat into large pan, medium low heat, and just let that extract the fat. Let's separate the cap. We've got a beautiful ribeye here. We're gonna slice as thinly as we can. So you can see this gyudon brought out a nice good bit of oil. It's now crisping up in the bottom. It's getting caramelized and deeply flavored. We got an onion thinly sliced. Turn the heat to medium high and just saute so you get a little bit of color and these are softened. So now we're gonna add shiradashi, a little splash of water. Bring it up to a boil over medium high. Once you're boiling, reduce the heat to medium low. You want a light simmer, and then you're gonna add your beef in there. Once the beef is just cooked through, cut off the heat, serve immediately. So you could just eat this straight up, but it's meant to be served over rice with a little bit of green onion on top. Sugar cookies should be simple. Salted butter, heat that on high speed. You're gonna add in regular granulated sugar and cream it so it's nice and fluffy. You're gonna add your all-purpose flour in thirds. Lower your stirring to low. A little more flour. Once your flour is mixed together, you are left with a dough. And we're gonna do little 1.5 tablespoons balls. Toss that in granulated sugar just to coat onto a sheet tray. And repeat with the rest of your dough. You take the bottom of a flat glass and just press them down slightly, like so. Pop these into a 325 Fahrenheit oven for 14 to 16 minutes. Once they've cooled, you are left with some beautifully soft sugar cookies. Moving on. Meatballs. First, dough bread goes in. You're gonna add in your mushroom powder and a splash of water. Just mix this until thoroughly combined. When I slap this, it jiggles a little in my hand. That's what you want. Get yourself a portion of beef, roll that into a ball, place on your sheet tray, and repeat. Now pop these into an oven set to 450 degrees Fahrenheit for 15 to 20 minutes. Once your meatballs are roasty, toasty, and beautiful. Easy meatballs, done. Moving on. Pork chops, grill. You need a big, thick, juicy chop. Thick boy on. These are seasoned with just salt, generously. A nice light quenelle of apple, essentially an apple sauce. You still got room for one more ingredient, brother. It's gonna be butter, and we made this butter. This is the 3-ingredient butter. Pop a little wedge of it on, and then you can pop this under a broiler or take yourself a little blowtorch and give that a nice little rip. It's beautiful. Tortillas, flour, salt, mix, oil, warm water. Mix together. Now, once you get a rough dough, you're gonna need that for about a minute or two, just until you get a nice smooth dough. Let that rest with a damp towel. Divide your dough in half again. You're gonna dust the board, ball goes down, dust the ball, press it out lightly with your hand, and then just roll it out. I mean, it's thin enough that I can see my fingers through it. We have a preheated griddle right here. Just slap it down on there. Maybe better than that. Let it cook. As it starts to bubble, give it a flip. That's a beautiful tortilla tortilla if I ever seen one. A peanut butter and jelly. Do you really need a recipe for this? Peanut butter obviously goes on one side, jelly goes on the other. I'm not doing a peanut butter and jelly to make a joke here. I'm doing it because I want to explain something. We all get kind of caught up in our routine. You go with what you know. Maybe it's strawberry jam, maybe it's blackberry jam. Maybe it's smooth, maybe it's crunchy peanut butter. This is your moment to change it up a little bit, whether in life or in your peanut butter and jelly. Pick a different peanut butter. Go crunchy instead of creamy. Try extra jam. The best thing you can do isn't cook, but switch it up a little bit. Peanut butter jelly, quesadilla. Look, this is another moment to think. Where do you source your tortilla? Try something different. Try a higher quality tortilla. Maybe go to a local Mexican restaurant that makes authentic Mexican food and ask if you could just buy some tortillas. Now, we're gonna fold this over. And before I put this on the griddle, I'm gonna take a little bit of my Monterey Jack cheese and I'm gonna spread it onto my griddle. A little bit of my cheddar as well. I'm gonna place the tortilla on top of that. Let it do its thing. Now see, the beauty of doing it this way, once you get under this, and flip it, you have a beautiful cheese crust on the outside. On the other side, you're gonna do another 2 to 3 minutes till toasted and the cheese is melted. Split it in half and then in half again. How could something this sexy be only 3 ingredients? Strawberry tart. I used Do 4 puff pastry. I lightly roll it out. I don't want it to get super wide. I just want it to be even. Flip it over. We're gonna shape this. I just want it a bit more square. Parchment set over a baking sheet. We got our puff pastry set out here. So we're gonna create essentially a border by shingling our strawberries across the entire pastry. And then on top, we're just gonna sprinkle a generous layer of sugar into an oven at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for 12 to 15 minutes. Look at this, dude. A 3-ingredient tart exists. The caprese salad. So we have olive oil or a basil infused oil, tomatoes and mozzarella. Fresh mozzarella, I should clarify. Salt is optional. I would highly recommend salt in this. So you got nice heirloom tomatoes here. Cut them about 1/4 inch thick. My mozzarella cut about the same size. And then we're gonna layer it. Look at that, dude. Put salt directly on top of it and be generous. And your oil is just gonna go directly on top. There's not a lot of fat in this. You wanna add fat to it. And that is it, a simple but delicious 3-ingredient caprese salad. Cantaloupe, crudo. You're gonna need a big, bad cantaloupe. You're gonna split it in half lengthwise, sheet of parchment, a spoon. Go around, scoop out your seeds. Repeat with both, into the trash. You're just gonna cut in half again and cut it into little nice wedges, you know, make them look nice. You're just gonna cut around. I actually prefer to avoid not just the green, but a little bit of that white pith, and then repeat with the rest. You're gonna marinate this. Line them up nice and snug, a navel orange or 2, split them in half, and then just juice them directly on top. You're gonna cover this and let this marinate for at least an hour, but ideally overnight. And the 3rd ingredient, prosciutto. Take a single slice of prosciutto, a piece of melon, and then just wrap the center of that nice and tightly and layer in and just repeat with the rest of your melon. And you will have a little bit of juice left in here, and you're gonna take a little spoonful of that and spoon it at the bottom of your plate nicely. If you happen to have a second orange, perfect, just zest it right on top. You have little amuse-bouche. Garlicky, lemony cabbage. Split your cabbage in half, then in quarters, slice it thin. You have a hot pan, you're gonna put it in garlic oil, get it nice and hot, and then in goes your cabbage. Give it a little toss. We're not gonna add salt yet. It's gonna wilt, it's gonna sweat. I want a little bit of color on this first. But before I use my lemon, I'm gonna zest that because I want this zest at the very, very, very end. This is beginning to smoke. You're getting some color. You can see that. Bring that in and just toss. We're gonna let it get char one more time. Let it sit, a minute or 2, high heat, salt to taste. And a nice toss, cut off the heat. I want a little bit of crunch retained. You're gonna add lemon juice from 1 lemon. Toss that together, taste, adjust salt levels as needed. Cabbage is done, in goes my zest. Hold together. This is a blank canvas, but it is good as it is. Buttered noodles. I want this pasta water to get all messy in there. I'm adding a little ladleful to make the most delectable of sauces. Unsalted butter going in, medium-high heat, and we're just gonna keep tossing and tossing till that butter's melted in there. So add your salt to taste. And then once that is emulsified and coated nicely, adjust your salt levels as needed and serve. Omelette au fromage. All of your eggs are gonna go into a nice bowl. Whisk them. Seasoning your eggs at this stage is totally fine. Now we have our hot pan, medium heat. I'm gonna put in a tablespoon of butter to melt. So eggs go right in the center. As the edges cook, you're gonna bring them into the center, fill that gap with more egg, and repeat, 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 repeat. You see how this works? You're gonna add cheese to one side. I've got grated Gruyere. Once your curd is mostly set, you're gonna then fold it over itself. So we're gonna add a little extra knob of butter, turn the pan towards the omelet, crank the heat up, a little over medium heat, and let that butter get underneath. Let it toast for about 30 to 45 seconds. Our eggs are done, cut off the heat, make sure it's nice and loosey-goosey. You're gonna grab your pan underhanded like this, Give it a couple taps, take your plate, put your plate up against the lip and turn it over. Look at that. Little omelet au fromage. Hazelnut praline. Sugar into a small saucepan, little splash of water, and optionally some lemon juice, just to help stabilize the caramel. Give that a little mix so your sugar is hydrated, and then set it to medium-high heat. Bring this bad boy up to a boil and just let it rip. Here we have a silicone mat with toasted hazelnuts on it. Toasted and skinned, I should say. You're gonna pour this caramel sugar glass directly over the top. Now, once this is cool, it should snap. The beauty of a hazelnut praline is you can put this on almost any dessert. You can put it on ice cream, you can sprinkle it on top of a slice of cake, or you can mix it into something. You can mix it into a candy bar. You can mix it into the Rice Krispie treats that we made earlier. I'm giving you keys here. Cheers. Corn pone, cornmeal to a large bowl, boiling hot water and mix together. I would recommend seasoning this a little bit with salt. Let this sit till the liquid is absorbed. It'd probably take about 15-20 minutes. You're essentially left with very firm cornmeal that is compactable. That's important. We have our pork fat over here. I'm gonna heat that over medium heat. Ring mold. You're gonna press your cornmeal into the mold. Plop that bad boy in there. Then rinse and repeat. Corn pone is frying, oh brother. We got all this beautiful crispy bacon. Just chop that bad boy up. Once that's done, you're gonna pop them on a wire rack to cool and drain. Place that on a nice plate, top generously with some bacon, and drizzle the nice quality honey. So season with salt, and that is corn pone. Pigs in a blanket, but grown up. I don't like the little wieners. I want them big. Puff pastry. We're gonna cut this into quarters. Cut these wraps in half and wrap them. See a little bit of dog hanging out. Little dab of water on your finger. Dab that on in a straight line. Cut just before you roll it over. Press down lightly. That is your wrapped dog. Repeat with all of your sausages. This is only 2 ingredients. You want a 3rd ingredient. That could be cheese, if you so desire. You're gonna place your dogs onto a sheet tray. Bake these at 400 Fahrenheit for 15 to 18 minutes. So we have our finished dogs. Look at this, dude. This is a pig in a blanket. Pan con tomate. Roma tomato, slice off an end, and then take 1 singular clove of garlic and just cut the tip off. Just the tip. And just rub it all over that hot, toasted sourdough bread. Ooh! We're gonna take our tomato and do the exact same thing. Get aggressive, squeeze it, get the juice all over it. Slice this on a bias. Salt is a requirement. My preference would be Maldon. Not a part of the 3 ingredient thing, but I'm telling you it's tasty. You hit it aggressively with some olive oil. That is a delicious pan con tomate. Grilled cheese. We know how to make this. Non-stick pan, medium heat, butter unsalted into the pan. And once that's mostly melted, first slice of bread goes in, and then really any cheese you want. I always double up my cheese though. American cheese, that's the OG. Another slice of bread on top. I prefer to just let it do its thing on medium, medium-low, alternating temperature until the other side is toasted. So you can add a little bit more butter, give your bread a little flip. Look at that, dude. Then just toast the other side. Take it out of the pan, burn your hand, that felt good. Oh yeah, that is a grilled cheese. Blackberry jam. I have blackberries, sugar, lemon juice, and also water. 2 to 3 quart saucepan. You can add in your blackberries, your sugar. You can use a spoon, you can use your hand, just kind of toss them together. I like to crush them up a little. Let that sit for about 5 minutes. It's like a little brief maceration, okay? You really gotta enunciate when you say that. First thing you'll notice after you macerate is there's gonna be a lot of juice in there. That's good. At this point, you're gonna turn your heat on to medium-high and add in a little splash of water. You bring it to a boil over medium-high heat, and you're gonna lower the temperature to medium, and you're gonna let that reduce. So once this is reduced, cut off the heat and stir in a little bit of lemon juice. Small bowl, strainer. Pour that into your strainer, fine mesh, and using a spoon or a whisk or whatever you were stirring with, and just press it through. Get every last bit out. Let this cool, and once it's done, it should thicken up. If you want it to be thicker, you can always just reduce it more. But I like mine a little bit more on the syrupy side, so that when you have toast, you can just spread a tiny little bit. Spread it on, and enjoy. Nigiri, sushi grade salmon. You can do tuna, you can do hamachi. Make sure you can eat it raw safely. Since we only have 3 ingredients, then we really want to season this by curing it. Get yourself some kosher salt. Salt on one side, pat that down, and then again on the other side. Cover with a damp towel and leave it in the fridge for about 12 hours. So using a sharp knife, you're gonna slice your fish against the grain. Go from heel to tip, pulling the knife and letting the weight of the knife do the work. Once you get close to the bottom, you're gonna turn the knife up and then slice straight down. Then you're left with a little piece ready for nigiri. So we have our cooked rice here. Start breaking up that rice. You're just kind of hitting it, and we're just gonna lightly sprinkle with our sushi vin. Spread it out, kick it out to the edges, and fold it back in, and adjust seasoning. So to get this out, you need a damp towel. Form a triangle using 3 fingers. Kind of scoop around, turning the okay. And once you have the majority of your rice piled up in one area, you're gonna fold this over and just kind of work the rice into a light ball. Scoop it out and carefully dump it back out. Keep it covered, keep it warm, and now we assemble. Dampen your hands. You're gonna start with just a ball. Form that ball into sort of an egg. Take your fish, place it on top. You're just forming it around so you get a little nigiri. And that's it. Have fun with it. Spanish tortilla. This is not a perfectly traditional one. So we're gonna peel our potatoes. These are Yukon Golds. Now, once they're peeled, you're going to slice them into rounds on a mandolin. Non-stick pan over medium heat. Now you're gonna confit these. We're gonna fully coat the bottom of the pan. You're gonna layer in your potatoes. A little salty salt, potato, oil, more salt, and then the rest of your potato. Top with additional olive oil. Now set that to medium low and just let that cook nice and slowly until these are soft. These potatoes are mostly cooked through. I jostled them a little bit and broke a few. I'm gonna season the top with a touch more salt, and then I have my eggs. Season your eggs to taste with salt, and then just beat till homogeneous. I'm gonna pour this directly on top. Make sure it coats the whole thing. You can let this cook with a lid on it, or you can put it into a 375-degree oven for about 8 to 10 minutes. Once the time is up, you have a roasty toasty boy coming out. Look at this. It's beautiful. Pizza. This is a hard one to make 3 ingredients. Unless you have a Whole Foods or a Trader Joe's that makes their own pizza dough. Once you have a piece of dough, you're gonna punch it into a round. Now stretch your dough out. Make sure that most of the interior is thin, but you got a little crust on the exterior. Pizza goes on to your peel. So I have whole peeled tomatoes, which I've strained, going into a container and start blending this until it reaches a nice pizza sauce consistency. Spread it out, and any grated cheese you want. Into the oven we go. Oh, you don't have a pizza oven? That's totally fine. You can use a pizza stone or a pizza steel in your home oven, no problem. We'll increase the bake time to a total of 10, maybe 15 minutes. That's it. Max temperature, 500 degrees. Pizza done. That's a solid pizza right there. Nutella brownies. Your Nutella goes in, and then one egg at a time. We're gonna beat that into our Nutella, beat together on high speed till nice and homogeneous. Now beating slowly, we're gonna add our flour, incorporating a little at a time, and we have our brownie batter. You're gonna get a non-stick 8x8 tray and line it with parchment paper, and then just pour your brownie batter directly into that and spread it out just so that it meets the edges evenly. Pop that into the oven at 350 Fahrenheit for 15 to 20 minutes. And just like that, you've got a beautiful ooey gooey Nutella brownie. Peanut butter cookies, they're gluten-free, brother. Creamy peanut butter into a bowl. And you're gonna beat that until creamy, along with some granulated sugar. Add it like a quarter at a time. Let it incorporate, a little more. One singular egg. Beat that in, that's your batter. Prepared baking sheet, scrape up a little ball, scoop it. You can also use a regular spoon and just roll these into balls. You're gonna take a little fork, you're gonna press down once, one direction, and then once more, the other direction, a little crisscross. Then into an oven at 350 Fahrenheit for 12 minutes. That's beautiful. Pork chop curry. I'm gonna be honest, this is not easy. 2 thick boy pork chops. Now we can't add oil, but you do have a fat cap on the pork chop. So turn the heat to medium low and just brush that around the pan. And we're gonna increase the heat to medium high. You're gonna add your pork in one even layer. Now after you've seared this about 1 to 2 minutes, you're gonna flip it once and once only. Add a touch of salt, let that sear for 2 more minutes. Set that to the side. In that same pan, you got all this flavor here. Turn your heat to medium. You're gonna add red curry paste. You're gonna cook this down in the pan. Increase the heat to medium high, and then you're gonna add 1 can of coconut milk. Make sure to scrape the bottom of the pan. I want that sweet fond. Dissolve all the solids, and then just bring this up to a boil. Add your pork back in, reduce the heat to medium low, and let that simmer just until the pork's cooked through, about 3 to 4 minutes. And once this is done, it is served hot. But if you wanna dial it up a notch, add a little pinch of palm sugar to this and some lime juice, and it's gonna be even better. Garlic oil pasta. You're gonna start with 1 pound of bucatini or spaghetti cooking in boiling salted water. In a cold pan, olive oil, a lot of garlic. Toss that around, medium-low heat. After like 3 to 4 minutes, it's fragrant and the garlic is starting to get a little bit toasted. You gotta be careful not to move too fast, otherwise the garlic will turn bitter. Once your pasta is done, you're gonna take it out, toss it into the oil. It's okay if you get pasta water in there because we're gonna put more pasta water in there. Toss that together, add a little salt to taste, give it a little another toss, make sure it's fully coated in the sauce. Sauced up nudes, place them into a bowl daintily. Make sure to get little pieces of garlic in there too because it's nice and toasty roasty. It's a simple garlicky pasta for 3 ingredients. Steak and eggs. I took a little piece of the fat cap that was right here and finally chopped it. Medium heat and just let that cook down until you get a little nice thin layer of oil. Now I'm gonna scoop all the crispy bits to the side, crank the heat to medium high. I've got a beautiful ribeye steak. I'm gonna season this with salt. Pepper is optional. We're gonna layer our steak in there. Full contact sear, press it down. Season the other side. I'm gonna sear that on medium high for about 2 to 3 minutes or until you have a beautiful Maillard. Now let that sear for another 2 to 3 minutes until the internal temperature registers 135 Fahrenheit. Okay, my steak is done. So we already have a hot pan with oil in it. I'm gonna crack my egg in there. Hit it with a little bit of salt. If there's enough fat in the pan, is just tilt the pan towards you and baste it just until the whites cook through. If you're basting it, it really only takes like 30 seconds. seconds. Our fried egg is done. And to finish it off, a generous spoonful of spicy chili crisp. You can use hot sauce. You could do salsa matcha. Get fancy with it. Have fun with it. That's the point. And that is a beautiful steak and egg. When it came to making this video, some of these recipes felt like a little bit of a stretch, right? Really, the whole point of this video is that you can always utilize and leverage a little bit of someone else's work and speed up your cooking process, whether that's a really nice chili oil or a flavored garlic oil. Something like that might help lift what you're making without losing the element and the beauty of cooking at home. But you know, one thing that will help you cook more is our sponsor, Made In. Thank you to them for sponsoring this video. Don't forget to click the link in the description. Made In, we love you. But also, I love you. By the way, don't forget to subscribe. See ya.